And I now want to introduce you to our head of communications, David Peterson.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you everybody for coming. I really appreciate it. Just want to give a quick shout out to the Rook. This is beautiful. Thank you so much for having us. This is an awesome event. And also thanks to the Sling and Stone team. You guys have been an awesome partner since day one. They're the ones that got you guys here. They're the ones that booked the event. They're the ones that made this all beautiful. So thank you so much for all of your hard work. I really appreciate it. We can go to the first slide. So right now there are about 2,500 dating sites in the world, which is a lot. And about 1,000 are estimated to launch just in the next year. That means you have going up about 4,000 dating sites to choose through. So anytime I tell a friend or a family member or even somebody in the media where I work, the first $1 million question is, well, how are you guys different than everybody else out there? There's an app that seems to be launched every week, every day at this point. So what makes you guys stand out? So just in terms of the numbers alone, we are the #1 mobile dating app in the world, hands down. We have 35 million members in 80 countries. We're translated into 25 different languages. And right now we have about 5 million messages that are sent globally every day on our app. In terms of social, we really do dominate socially. We have about 13 million followers on Facebook and about 300,000 on Twitter. Just to give you guys a little bit of a comparison, Match, their Facebook presence, they have about 800,000 fans. So it's just not really even close. So we really do like to leverage our social media audience, in case we get a media hit, or to leverage our Joan Ashley videos. She's a vlogger. We get those up for all of our followers to see. And we recommend that you guys follow us and see what we're up to. So again, just kind of how we stand out, how we're different than everybody else out there. Alex and Cheyenne, who are our two co-founders, they founded Zoosk about 8 years ago, and they really saw a hole in the dating world, the online dating world, because everything was survey-based. Every single site that they would sign on to was just like, they were just flying survey after survey after survey, and they thought that was such an impersonal way to approach such a personalized experience, right? So dating should be personal, and filling out the same survey that everybody else is filling out is not a really personal way to approach that. So what they did is they developed an algorithm called behavioral matchmaking technology. And that is a mouthful, and I don't usually like to use that term, but it works sort of like Netflix or Pandora as a recommendation engine. So with Netflix, you watch a movie, after the movie ends, it says, hey, here are 3 more that you may like, great. Unfortunately, that's a one-way transaction. Dating is not a one-way transaction. You can't say, I want to date you, let's go. That's not how that works. So the person has to like you back. So our algorithm has to be sort of twice as smart, right? So we're not only showing you people that we think you'd be interested in, but people that would be interested in you back, right? So the way that the algorithm works is when you sign up to Zoosk, you can sign up in under 5 minutes. You don't need to answer any questions. We just prompt you to put some profile text in and to put a couple pictures up, and then you're off to the races because we track your behavior on the site. So every person that you look at, every person that you message, you don't message. We have a feature called Carousel, which was Tinder way before Tinder even existed, where you just swipe through people, yes, no, maybe. Every single one of those is a data point, right? So the more you interact with the site, the smarter the algorithm gets about what your preferences are. So where we fall sort of in the landscape here, and we didn't put competitor names, but you can probably figure out who we're talking about. We fall squarely in the middle here in the spectrum. So there are apps on this side of the spectrum that are for hookups and casual dating, and then there are apps on the far end of the other spectrum, which are purely for marriage, right? We like to be right in the middle. So as Mike was saying, our tagline is first comes like. We want dating to be a fun experience. We don't want it to be pressure-filled where you feel like if you don't get married because of this date or because of this experience, you failed. That's not what we're about. We really, 1 date, 2 dates, 3 dates, 100 dates, marriage, kids, any iteration of that is success to us. So we really want to make dating a fun, interesting, memorable experience, and we really want to take the pressure out of it as much as possible, because even though we're still in 2015, and Match launched 20 years ago this year. So, and they were the first ones really out there, and they really set the standard for dating sites. There's still a stigma attached to online dating, which we're still sort of fighting through. So we really want to try to take the pressure out of it as much as possible, considering it's still a daunting task for a lot of people to just sign up and get online. So again, just some numbers. TechCrunch actually posted this a few weeks ago, where they looked at the App Store and they wanted to see what the top apps were worldwide since the inception of the App Store. When it came to revenue, for all time, we were number 3, and we were behind Pandora and Line. Now, the other dating app, and I should put dating in quotes, is number 9, which is Grindr. But again, this is, since the inception of the App Store, we are firmly number 3 globally in terms of worldwide revenue. So that just to give you sort of an example of the fact that we are probably a lot bigger than you guys think we are. We are probably the biggest app that you've never heard of, and hopefully, hopefully some of this information will help you get a better idea of who we are and what we stand for. So right now I want to introduce my colleague, Felix Bernhoster. He's our head of international marketing. And I know you guys want to get some information about how we perform in Australia specifically, and he's going to give that to you guys.
Thank you, Dave. Good evening, everybody. So Dave already mentioned we have 35 million members currently on Zoosk. And then we're live in 80 countries. But what you're probably wondering is how do we actually shape up in Australia specifically? So what we don't do is we don't give country-specific subscriber information, member information, or revenue information for that matter. But what I can tell you is that we have the highest number of active subscribers outside of the US in Australia, which is quite remarkable if you think of it. We're live in the likes of like Germany, France, the UK, which have much higher populations than Australia do. Secondly, we also have the highest market penetration of any country. That includes the US. So that's noteworthy because anytime you talk about online dating, what you need is people to create like a good ecosystem for dating. And you have that here, like the total subscribers in relation to the total population that you have here in Australia is the highest that we have. So it really provides a good dating ecosystem. Another measure that gauges our popularity here is the average active subscription duration. So in Australia, we have the 3rd largest active subscription duration, and it's only behind Norway and Singapore. And last but not least, just a fun fact, and Dave will get into our data competencies in a little bit here, but just a fun fact about our Australian subscribers, the most frequent occupations on our product are in the fields of construction and healthcare.
Thanks, Felix. So one of the things that makes us stand out as a company is our technology. I went over our algorithm earlier, but one of the other things is our photo verification technology, which is still singular to us. Nobody else has this, it's just us. The number 1 concern for online daters, they're going to meet the person, they don't look like their photos. And we realized this and we addressed it. So we launched this technology about a year ago. And what it does is once you get on Zoosk and put up a photo, it'll prompt you and say, can you take a 7-second video selfie? And then we'll actually go through this on the next slide. I'll show you. You haven't seen it quite yet. It sends it into a human moderator, not a computer. A human actually looks at it, compares the video to the static photos, and if the video lines up to the static photos, you get a check mark, and it says you're photo verified. So if you're photo verified, we have found that you get up to 5 times as many messages as people who aren't. So this is a really big deal. It's really bizarre to me that nobody else has addressed this yet, but we're happy to have this.
And you're not a robot, like us.
Yes, and we're not a robot too. We actually have humans looking at this. And again, this video, just security-wise, this video does not save on your phone. It is not sent to anybody else. It is just sent into Zoosk just for this purpose. So we've seen such great engagement with this. We have over 5 million verified photos just in the last year. And in Australia specifically, we get 12,000 requests a month to get a photo verified. So now on this next screen, we'll actually show you how it works. Look straight ahead. Turn the head right. Turn the head left. And that's it. You're done. And usually it takes about 24 hours to get verified, if not shorter. And we really encourage all of our members to do this because they're just going to have a better. Okay, we'll get to this in a second. Anyway, it encourages them to have a better experience online, and people are just feel much more safe and feel like they're having a more authentic experience with the photo verification tool. So this is the fun stuff. These are our last couple slides. We'll just wrap it up with this. One of the things that I want to tell you guys about Zoosk is that we're a really great data center. So not only because of our algorithm, we have so many data points about user behavior that we can track, if you use the word vegetarian in your profile, how does that help you? Does it help you or does it hurt you? If you use this type of photo, does it help you or hurt you? If you use this message, if you message at this time of day, does it help you or hurt you? We can look at all of that very easily, and we can look at millions of conversations. Most of our data studies look at 6 to 10 million conversations. So this is not 5 data points, this is in the millions. So the other thing that we can do is we can put a survey into our product where we can actually geo-target it too. So we realize right now in the United States there's a lot of political turmoil going on with the election coming out. Donald Trump is a very polarizing figure. I believe that you guys just had an election and this person is not around anymore. So we wanted to see what the effect was. We thought it'd be a fun experiment to see what the effect was if somebody brought Tony Abbott up on a date in Australia, or if they did the same for Donald Trump in the US. So with Tony Abbott, we found that about 30% of people would leave the date. And just walk out.
Well, it depends on the context, though, whether they loved him or hated him.
Right, yeah, well, I'm kind of assuming from my knowledge that they probably hate him. And then compared to the United States, actually 17%, which we thought was a large number for Donald Trump, and then you guys doubled us with Tony Abbott. So, the next slide will show you about The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. I think the series just wrapped, or it's wrapping up, or this week? Just wrapped. So we wanted to see what the effect of watching The Bachelor or The Bachelorette had on your dating life, and we found that over 30% of surveyed Australians stated that they ended a relationship because their partner wasn't romantic enough as a bachelor or bachelorette. Which is, again, that's a lot. And again, these are just samples of things that we've done. For example, the political survey that was on the last slide, we had a ton of other data points to that. And we have this really beautiful infographic that you guys can take a look at if you're interested, with a bunch of other data points about how politics affects your love life. And again, we're happy to do these surveys for you guys. If there's something that you think is related to online dating, even if it's a very thin thread, we can put that into our product and we can survey our users and get a bunch of responses in a very short amount of time for you guys. And just lastly, last quarter we did look at long distance relationships. That's not going. Long distance relationships are becoming a lot more commonplace nowadays, obviously, with the invention of Skype and FaceTime. People are much more amenable to doing long distance relationships. So we looked at Australia and the United States and said, okay, how long, what is the threshold? So how many months, how many